a little bit about my background. I spent 10 years as a commercial and music video director. I directed for some of the biggest artists in the industry, including Justin Bieber. That's probably the biggest. But after that, transitioned into tech, had a venture-backed tech startup in Silicon Valley. My lead investor was Tim Draper, Draper Associates. And that is where my tech journey started. And really my journey of really understanding how to generate leads and get that content to do what it needed to do. Because as a creative, you don't know, you're just creating, right? So you don't know what you're supposed to be doing to actually like build a business. And we all know that you do not have a business unless you have customers. So we're going to talk about that in great detail. Leif, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience really quickly?
Yeah, my name is Leif Taylor. I also have a background in technology. I had a venture-backed tech startup as well. Started off building apps and websites, and then ventured into the tech space. And also have a background in building audiences and in communities.
Perfect. So the way we're going to jump into this, we love your guys' questions. I usually can see what's happening on LinkedIn, but I think I can see it in StreamYard. So hopefully this all goes well. But we would love your guys' questions. We want to help you get your customer base to where it needs to be. If you already have customers, that's great. Maybe you're at a lull and you just don't know how to get more customers. You need to understand basically how to acquire those customers, right? So we're going to be going through a funnel, what that looks like. Content is the top of the funnel. So if you're creating any type of content, whether that be LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, I don't know how to call it X yet, sorry. But if you're creating any content around those platforms, that's going to be your top of funnel, right? So that's where you're going to attract your customer first. That's when they're going to get to know you and then eventually like you and then hopefully trust you enough to purchase, right? The other thing around this is there is obviously your funnel, but there's the type of customer you're addressing too. So if we're talking about a warm or a hot lead, that is a very different type of customer than a cold lead. So from the warm lead side, you guys pretty much are like, the product seems interesting. I think I need it. I don't really know yet. Tell me a little bit more about what's happening. From the hot lead side, it's like, oh, yes, I know I need this. I need it right now. How do I purchase? Where's the link, right? From the cold lead side, you're like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't know you or this product or why I need it. So there is a bit of education that you have to give in order to convert those cold leads, right? So I like to start with my warm leads and my hot leads. Leif, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, again, first you got to decide to get started because a lot of people are scared to get started. So that's the single hardest part. But definitely start with your warm leads because it can help you build momentum and build confidence. So that's definitely a great strategy. And again, just get going because that's the hardest single thing for most people. But I can't even call them content creators yet because they haven't started. So definitely start with the warm leads for sure.
Yeah. So I was telling Leif prior, I have built so many companies and I had so many assets and just creative elements that I needed to attract these customers. But I was trying to do it in spaces where I felt safe. So I would go into like my Instagram stories because I could see everybody and I know who I'm talking to. Or I would go to Eventbrite because I'm like, oh, you have to like go through the process of actually, registering. So I know who I'm talking to, right? But you got to put yourself out there. I love that, Leif. You can't be scared. You got to be like, look, here's what I built. Do you want it or not? Like, that's really what it is. Andre said, man, that imposter syndrome can be real. Got to take the first step. I totally agree with that. Okay. So we talked about that a little bit. So let's dive into the type of content pillars that there are. So we talk about video content. There's two sides to that, right? There is your super polished content that is like your brand assets and your, let's just say you threw an event and you want it to look like spectacular, right? So that's going to be your more polished content and your what we call your high quality content. So at Frame Me, we help you create that high quality content really fast so that you can get it out there and start to get feedback and see who's engaging with it and how you can get them to convert to customers, right? So like that's one of the things that we focus on. But on the other side, the reason why, first of all, before I move forward, the reason why you need that type of content is because you need to establish credibility. Like you can't just have your iPhone content or your Samsung content. You have to have a balance of the two, right? You can't have one or the other. So the other side is your iPhone content or your, let's just say, camera phone content. And when you have that type of content, it's establishing authenticity. Authenticity.
Yeah, that's it.
So authenticity and relatability, right? So when you have those people say, oh, I get it. Like they're like me. I can relate to them. I can connect to them. So that's the difference. And we also help you with that at Frame Me as well. But for you guys who are out there shooting your own content, you guys need to make sure you have a balance of the two. You can't just have one or the other because you need that credibility. You need to look polished and professional, and you need that authenticity, in order for people to relate, or they're gonna be like, I'm good. So yes, any feedback on that?
Yeah, because usually, like in times past, what I would do is just start somewhere, and going back to what she's talking about, similar to what we're doing now. You have your camera phone or your computer, just to get you acclimated. But in terms of going into the code leads and things like that, you want to have some form of established polish to you. Because it just adds, like she said, more credibility. It's like, oh, I mean, I'm a designer as well. And so that's the one thing about design. You want to have high quality design to just elevate your brand, elevate the way people think about you, even the people around you, because sometimes they don't even know what you do or understand what you do. And so this side of the market, in terms of the high quality content, is very vital for them as well. It's like, oh, okay, I see you. It's like, I see what you're doing now. I didn't get it at first, but now I see it. And it just you want to just tackle both sides of perception, right?
Yeah, I agree. And you guys, please drop your questions in the chat if you have specific questions about, because this is for you guys, right? We are good. We are generating leads. We are getting business. We feel great over here, but we obviously want to help service you guys as well. So please drop your questions in the chat. Like, what questions? Because if people don't want to, if they're too shy, what do you think people want to know?
So one of the things is how can content, because we hear about it all the time, like how can content actually play an overall role in lead generation? Because for a business, the hardest thing is not necessarily servicing customers, but actually getting them. Right?
Yeah. So again, top of funnel, right? So your content when you're building, Stephanie, coming from the filming aspect are in products. Can you clarify that question? When you're building, you want to make sure you have a top of funnel, right? And so that top of funnel is going to be your content. So that could be blog content, that could be video content, that could be written content from a copy standpoint. Let's just say you like Twitter a lot, so it could be written content. You need to figure out where the top of the funnel is. And when you are addressing that top of funnel, you need to make sure that it's speaking very specifically to your audience, right? So let's just say you work in the legal industry and you want to attract attorneys. First of all, where do attorneys hang out? Like, if you know your attorneys ain't on TikTok getting it, like, get off of TikTok. Like, if your attorneys are on LinkedIn, maybe if there's like an attorney association, like, where do they hang out, right? So that's the first thing you got to figure out. And then you got to figure out how you're going to be speaking to those attorneys. So when you do video content allows you to attract them at mass versus one-to-one, like going and then actually connecting with them and having the conversations, which you got to get to. So there's no way around that, right? Especially if you have a high quality product or a high price product. So if your product's anywhere, I would say you can pretty much get away with not talking to somebody having a product up to probably about $2,000, right? People can convert on, if they trust you, they can convert 2,000 and below. When you have anything above $2,000, you gotta have a conversation because I have got to know where my money is going. So you've got to have that conversation. But if you have a lower tier product, then you definitely want to be, putting that content out there in the places where your customer is. So if we talk about TikTok, to me, TikTok is the D2C e-commerce direct to consumer platform. I have seen people make a killing on TikTok. It's crazy. Like I'm talking about $1 million days. Like what we doing? So TikTok to me is like the place to be if you are selling a actual e-commerce product. If you're somebody like in the course space or you're an educator or like that type of thing, Instagram. Like that's going to be all your course creators. That's going to be your, you can have your products on there, but maybe more service-based businesses is Instagram, right? I have not fully figured out the conversion on Twitter. I would like to say more techie type of companies are over on Twitter. I would definitely lean there. And then, of course, LinkedIn is your B2B, right? This is your business to business. This is going to be your larger contracts. This is where you're going to get your LOIs. This is where you're going to have those types of conversations, those $2,000 plus conversations, because quite frankly, people on LinkedIn are just professionals, right? So they are going to be able to make those investments at a larger scale. Not to say the other platforms couldn't, but that's just literally how LinkedIn is structured. Okay, so the quality of camera to differentiate the video content type. Good question, Stephanie. Do I need a high def camera? Oh, got you. Okay. To shoot polished video or the end product of editing is polished? That is a great question. So when you think about it, if you're landing on somebody's website, you want to see a high polished video that is shot on a DSLR, a mirrorless camera, something that just looks like, oh, these people got a little money. Like that's kind of the vibe that you're trying to give off, right? When you are editing, you can edit it to make it look polished, right? There are little tweaks and things that you can do to give off that polished appeal. And also, let's be frank, you can also shoot on your iPhone 15 and that thing can look like a DSLR. You put the right lenses and apps on there, you can get your depth of field and things doing the thing, right? So you can do that on an iPhone, really. So it just depends on you, how you structure it, how you light it. Like right now, I have 2 insanely bright lights in my face. So that's why I look like I'm glowing. It is not the camera, right? So it's about lighting. It's about audio. It's about, all of the assets that you put together in order to create the video. So yes, that's a great question. You can definitely have the appearance of higher quality by using a lower budget camera. Leif, any other, or audience, any other questions? Or Leif, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll ask this question directly to you. What are some of the best ways that you found for you personally to get lead generation?
So I'm an Instagram girly sometimes. Like recently, I love LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn has just been, it's just nicer. I don't know. Like Instagram hasn't been mean to me by any shape or form. But because the way that LinkedIn is set up, you get more attention on LinkedIn. And we all know that we're in the attention economy, right? So on Instagram, people, the discoverability platforms are swipe. The mechanism on there is just swiping, right? So when you're on those, you don't have a lot of time because you have to capture somebody's attention insanely fast. And then once you capture their attention, then you can like snatch them in. Now, back to this funnel, because this is so important. If I have a good piece of content that really resonates with somebody's problem. So let's just say this is okay, my personal business, but like on Instagram, I'm always looking for the hair products because I'm like, what are we doing with this hair? Right. So if I come across somebody that like fits the hairstyle that I love or like things like that, I'm going to add them. I might not activate right away. Now, here's the thing, the tip and the trick that people are doing on Instagram to get you to do the thing right away, because you got to move them from top of funnel to bottom of funnel. You can't just have them at top of funnel because then they will never convert. So what will happen is you'll see me do this too, is I'll have in my like comment, whatever the word is, like comment hair if you want to understand like what my prices are this month or whatever. Like if you want the price discount, whatever you need to do. And then I'll be like, oh, here, let me see what the discount is, right? So now that person has moved me from top of funnel to bottom of funnel because now they have that direct one-to-one interaction with me. So that is what your goal is. Your goal is to always move somebody from that top of funnel to the bottom of the funnel. So for me, it's easier to do that. Oh, well, I can do it on both. Like I've done it on Instagram and I've done it on LinkedIn. So it's easy to do it on both. But a lot of people miss the last step. Like they start by like creating the content and you're like, well, why isn't this content converting? It's because you haven't figured out the rest of the funnel. Like you got to get them to actually convert. So I would definitely say that.
Yep. Another question, just for those that may not understand the terminology, the sales terminology, what actually is a funnel?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a funnel is like a literal funnel. So when you're in your kitchen and you have a funnel, you're trying to get a whole lot of liquid into one little itty bitty hole, right? So when you have a top of funnel, it's like, I need to get all these. Think about it. These platforms have millions and millions and millions of people. Your customer is on this platform somewhere. If they're not on LinkedIn, they're on Instagram. If they're not on Instagram, they're on TikTok. If they're not on TikTok, they're on Facebook. They're not on Facebook. They're on Twitter. They somewhere. They on one of these platforms, right? And again, you guys, this is for you guys. Leif and I will talk to each other all day long. So make sure you drop your questions in the chat if you have any specific questions in regards to your business. We want to help you guys with your business. Okay, so back to this. So you've got this funnel and you've got all these millions of people. I put out my content, and then when I put out my content, I need those people to start trickling down the funnel, right? So what am I doing to move you down the funnel? Well, if you are a hot lead already, you're going to move yourself down the funnel because you're like, I need this. Like you are selling what I need, right? So you're going to do it yourself. But if you're warm or you're cold, then I got to indoctrinate you. I got to educate you. I got to help you understand why you need this, right? So that is essentially what a funnel is. It's just literally moving you down the stream so that you can get more conversions. And there's so many creative ways to do that. We find the easiest way is video because video is 92% of businesses use video, right? So video is going to capture the eyeball very quickly. Most people do not want to read. They're like, yeah. Like our LinkedIn audience, you guys love a good long story, But most platforms, we just want to get to the point. So if you can get to the point really, really quickly, then it's more interesting for the person on the other side because they're going to be like, I want to buy the thing, right? So yeah.
Another question that made me think is, how important is it, especially as maybe a solo creative or even a two-man shop, to get outside help?
Oh, yeah. So it is very important for you guys to get assistance if you don't have it, because you can burn yourself out very quickly trying to create content. I know for sure. I'll be doing my podcast and I'll be like, all right, guys, next day you get a podcast, next day you get a podcast, next day, then I'll get a day forward. I'm like, I'll get you a podcast in 3 weeks. Get so tired. Like you get so tired from just creating content. So if you don't have an outside team, of course you can come use Frame Me. We will definitely help you get that video content. But if you want to hire a freelancer, you should hire a freelancer to help you do that. If you want to bring on an intern, you could do that. Like whatever you need to do to get it done, just get it done. I would definitely say that's the case.
Yeah. Also, what are some things, going back to the funnel analogy, what are some things that will help trickle down? Because you talked about education. What does it mean to get to the bottom of the funnel?
Yeah. So how can you move the people through the funnel? That is a good question. So I would definitely say if you're getting your content solid, that's the first step. Right? The content needs to be solid. It needs to be speaking to the person that you want to be your customer. You need to be solving a problem and a major pain point, right? If you are solving a problem, a major pain point is somebody who that is their problem, they will move themselves down. If you, let's just say, and here's another tip to that. If you are making somebody more money, they will quickly move themselves down. So just note to self, like if you have a product that makes somebody more money, then they're definitely going to move down the funnel very fast. Now, let's just say you got stuck on those medium or less slower or colder leads. Okay. The way that you do that is you got to give people away value. You have to be adding value. If you're not adding value, first of all, they're still trying to figure out if they need the thing, right? So maybe there's a sample that you can mail them. Maybe there is a lead magnet, like some information you can give them to help them out. You have to consistently be giving value. So many people think, oh, if I give away my value, then they're not going to convert. No, they're going to convert even faster because they're like, oh, you actually know what you're talking about. Right. So that is the quickest and easiest way to move them down the funnel, is to give them value. Like, it's not transactional. I mean, it is transactional for the sake of the definition of sales, but I don't think about sales as the word sales. I think about sales as I'm solving your problem. So I don't feel weird like telling you about what I'm doing, because if you have a problem, I'm helping you solve the problem with my solution. So I don't ever feel like, oh, I'm pushing this upon you. If I ever have to push a product upon you, you're not my customer. So we can move on with our lives. You should go find something that's going to solve for you, and I will find the customer that is having the pain point that I want to solve for. Right. Andre had a question. What content has converted best for you at Frame Me, and what platform did you perform best on? That's a great question. So the things that have converted best for us at Frame Me is posting video content on Instagram. When we posted it, and really it wasn't even just video content, it was video content and photos. So I know we haven't talked about photos, but photos convert very well if you have a very strong message that's to the point and that people just get. And with us, the one message that people just resonated with were like videographers on demand. Like, for whatever reason, when we put that in the ecosystem, people were like, oh, yes, I need a videographer right now. Like, I don't even know if they like, people just need high quality content in their minds, right? They're like, I need to look the part. So like, they booked very quickly. Like, so we went through this program called Founder University. When we entered, we had one customer. Like, we ramped up customers so fast. Like, Rafe and I would be on like calls, and customers would just pop up. We're like, where are these customers coming from? So it wasn't a lot of selling, and we don't sell. I don't think I sell, period. I think I'm just telling you what we do, and you just decide if you want to do the thing. I think that's it. So that. And then LinkedIn, we also use. So LinkedIn for me was DMing, because I'll create the content, about the content, but because LinkedIn, the style of platform that LinkedIn is, they're looking for a lot of information. So instead of me posting a video content on LinkedIn, because it's fairly new to LinkedIn, they just started LinkedIn video feeds, right? So I'll still post the content, but because it's fairly new and it's just not it's not what that platform is used to doing. Like, I don't know to go to LinkedIn and view videos. I do know how to read. So I'm going to read on LinkedIn. So when we DM people, we get to the point of the problem and solution very quickly. And they're like, oh, I have that problem and you are the solution. Like, let me hit you up right now. And that's how we convert, like, from the platforms that I like. I tried TikTok. I don't know what's happening. I guess we're just not the e-commerce. Like, I know a lot of people who have done really, really well with tech companies on TikTok, in the AI space, because that's the conversation. But I think you have to definitely pay into it, right? So this context, this conversation is about organic leads. If you want to do paid, influencer marketing is your way to go. If you are in the B2C or D2C space, get your influencers, pay them a little money, have them do the razzle dazzle, and wait for the conversions. Like, just do the thing, right? So I would definitely say, if you're paying influencers who already have the audience, who can connect to your people, because it's the same theory, like, they just have the audience already. So they've already built up know, like, trust. Whereas for us, I have a pretty large audience on Instagram. And I have a really engaged audience on LinkedIn. So typically, know, like, trust happens for me pretty quickly on those platforms. TikTok, I got 8 followers. It doesn't even matter, though, because on TikTok,
not at all,
you can post videos and get like 2,000 views and have 8 followers. The issue is those 2,000 people still don't know you. So they're like, I don't know that I trust this yet, right? So it's easier on a TikTok to hire somebody to pay them some money and then have them do the whatever marketing they're going to do around it and have tap into their audience. But also if you're doing Twitter, I would say if you're copy heavy, just put out some tweets and like show the journey of the business. If you're building a business, you can talk about the product, where the iterations of the product, what have you done with the product, just things like that to build a story. It's always about story, building a story around the business. So yeah, those are the things that we have done.
Yeah, and some other things to consider as well is figure out what works best for your particular business. Because not like, cause sometimes you may not personally like be validated on those platforms, but your product may be. It depends on how you market yourself. Also, one other thing that I was thinking of as you were talking, Sequoia, is the fact that content is still relevant even if you're not trying to attract customers, because at some point you have to educate them. And so it becomes another assistant in terms of communicating your message to your audience. So if you already have customers, and instead of answering redundant questions over and over, build content, whether that be written information, whether that be video, like, here, let me explain how this works, right? Because you're going to have to educate people on what you do, because you're supposed to be nuanced as a company anyway. So always keep that in mind, that content is not just about social media, although social media plays a huge role in bringing in revenue, but it's also about developing something to where your customers can get educated on what it is that you offer. And as well, it saves you time in the long run. It may feel like a trudge early. It may suck if you're not a content type person. I used to not be a content type person. I used to be like, I didn't want to get in front of a camera. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't even want to write. And so you have to, like, once you start getting, the momentum we talked about earlier, you definitely want to start creating content for your business. It just helps your business overall.
That just reminded me of what Meta just did with these AI bots.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
guys, I have an opinion. So I created one.
Before you get started, we're at 30 minutes, by the way, just so you know.
Okay, great. Thank you. I created one. I don't know, guys. So here's the thing. I think. So wait, Andre said definitely agree with that added point, Leif. So yeah, I think that although we want to automate things and make them strong and easy for you to be able to get the information, I just don't want to feel like I'm talking to a robot. Like that's the only thing that does not resonate with me. Like I understand and I get why Meta did it, but I don't want to talk to your robot. Like I just don't. Like what's your opinion on that, Leif?
I mean, I'm a tech dude. I'm a dev. So I think of it differently. It just depends, right? If I don't mind talking to a robot if it can solve my problem, because at the end of the day, it's the problem I want to get solved. So
Yes.
if I call and I need customer support, if the robot can do it, I don't care. Just do it. The problem is they're not at this point in time, because I always put that caveat. At this point in time, they don't solve your problem just yet, right? Right now, they're more like, here, I can point you to the information that can help you. When you want help, it ain't happening with the robot yet. And I'll just put it
Yeah.
there, yet. So that's my issue with it currently, but I think it can get to the point, because some people utilize the robots and don't know how to really implement them to help the customer. And I think that's the issue.
I can sort of agree. I just don't like the interaction. You guys tell us how you guys feel when you talk to robots. I am the type of person that I want to talk to a person and I want my problem solved right then and there. I just signed up for a new accounting software. I love this accounting software, you guys. Like I was married to QuickBooks. Like give me my line of credit, do all the things. But QuickBooks is just clunky. It just feels old. So I signed up for this new accounting software. And the thing that they did, and we'll talk about customer acquisition. We just talked about customer acquisition. We're going to talk about customer retention. Because the thing that they did is they had a customer success manager call, like he was like schedule an appointment as soon as I signed up, like literally as soon as I signed up, right? So I scheduled this appointment, got on the call, and he walked me through the software step by step. So like the demo is so important. Like I want to understand that your product is actually solving my problem, especially if I'm about to move my entire finances from one platform to the other platform. No, it's called Puzzle. It's called puzzle.io. I
Hey, it's free advertising.
love what this platform. What you say?
That's free advertising. Thank you.
Yeah, Puzzle, you got it. Okay. You guys had an amazing customer success person. I know you follow me on LinkedIn. So if you hear this, you're welcome. You guys had an amazing customer success person who literally walks me through the entire platform step by step. Here's how you categorize. Here's how you do your chart of accounts. Here's how you, I was like, yes, this is what you need, right? So there's one thing to get the product to the customer. It is another thing to retain the customer. It is a lot cheaper to keep her. No, okay. It's a lot cheaper to literally have the same customer versus going to acquire another customer, right? In regards to how you acquire it. I mean, we haven't paid a cent to acquire any of our customers, but in order to the effort, if you're not paying in time, you're also paying in money, you're also paying in time.
Exactly.
So it's a lot cheaper to bring the same customer in and help to facilitate that customer and nurture that customer versus trying to find another customer. So anyways, so I continue to have these issues with this, platform. And I wrote them because I am the customer's worst night. Like I will go in and be like, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do because I just need to know. I am the one click person. If I can't do it in one click, you've lost me. So I'm writing them in their chat. If a robot came up and answered those questions, I would have been like, nah, I need to talk to somebody. So I guess, their person in the chat was like, it's a lot of questions. So they were like, hey, do you want to set up a call? Like another one? I said, yes. So like, those are the things that I love in terms of customer success. Like, how do you delight the customer? Stephanie says, I don't mind the bots if it's simple. I agree with that. If I want to cancel, I have to get on the phone anyway. Yes. If it's simple and to the point, if you can solve it really quickly, but I'm the person that usually has a lot of problems. I'm like, tell me how to do all these things. And then once I get it done, once I'm good, I just need to get it done. Right. So yes, I do agree with that, Stephanie. Again, if you're just popping in, drop your questions into the chat. Drop them into the chat. We're going to be on here for about 5 more minutes because we actually have something else to do in about 20 minutes. So we'll be here about 5 more minutes. We need to prepare for the other meeting. But yeah, this has been really good, you guys. Thank you guys for asking the questions. Leif, thanks for giving the alley-oops. Let me just make sure that I don't have anything else that I want to add before we need to jump off. Let's talk about paid advertising real quick. So I do believe in influencer marketing. I do not believe in paid advertising if you do not know who your ICP is. If you don't know who your initial
ICP. Okay.
Yes. If you don't know, I'm going there for the people. If you don't know who your initial customer profile is, meaning who are you targeting, I would not touch a paid ad, right? Like I will wait until I understand who my initial person is, because are your customer, your target customer, because if you are paying for ads, you are bleeding money. It's like gambling because you're literally trying to figure out, they're going to tell you you're testing. You're trying to figure out who the hell the customer is through paid ads. To me, you can do that through organic traffic, right? You can ask questions. You can survey your audience. You can figure out who needs your product or service. You do not need to pay to do that. So that is my visceral reaction to that. But some people believe that you should. So there's that.
Yeah. I'll touch base on that real quick. And again, this goes into planning. So marketing is a huge part of the growth and the sustainability of your business. So you want to make sure that you put the needed time and effort. I've seen a lot of people start businesses and not really focus on how to acquire customers. Like you may be skilled in something, and of course there's all different levels of business, like SMB, small, medium businesses. There's all different types of nuances between the various tiers, right? But you want to make sure that you really focus on how to acquire the customers as well as what you're offering the customers, because those are two different things that a lot of people miss. And to Sequoia's point, you can burn through money so fast doing ads, and you don't know who's actually going to buy your product. So even if you have to go door to door or whatever it is you're selling, find your customer, understand your customer, uh, get as much information on the people that are buying your product before you put it into ads, because ads do work. That's why there's so many billions of dollars in it. However, it doesn't work if you don't do your homework. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, guys, this has been really, really fun. We want to do a lot more of these. I definitely will be back. I think LinkedIn might be my platform of choice. I don't know. I did it on Instagram, like I said 2 days ago. We tried TikTok, Twitter, and Leif and I were just like, we need a different strategy here. So we definitely will be back on, or why do I want to call this Instagram? On LinkedIn. But if you guys want our storytelling workbook, go ahead and DM me the word workbook, and I will send you specifically our storytelling workbook so that you guys can have it, work through how you're going to focus on the customer that you want to target. It'll give you examples of things that you need to do. If you have a blocker, you're welcome, Andre. If you have a blocker, it'll help you get past that blocker so that you can get the content out, because most of the businesses that are failing is because, one, they didn't find, well, they might be capital intensive, which is a whole nother conversation. That's not this conversation. But if you know who your customer is and you just haven't been able to connect with them, it's really because there's something internal with you, right? So you just got to figure out, one, if it's your fear, if it's you just don't understand what the right mechanism is, any of those things. So yeah, go ahead and text me or message me the word workbook into my DMs, and I will get y'all that workbook. And yeah, we will be back soon. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great rest of your Friday.
Have fun, guys.
Bye.